Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam. Om Bhadram Karnebhi Shrunuyama Devaah Bhadram Pashyema Akshabhiryajatraah Sthirairangaistushtvagum Sastanubhihi Vyashema Devahitam Yadayuh Swasti na Indro Vriddhashravah Swasti na Pusha Vishwavedah Swasti nastarksho arishtanemi Swasti no brihaspatirdadatu Om Shanti 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 Om Sahana Vavatu Sahana Bhunaktu Sahaviryankaravavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Let's read the seventh mantra. Na antah pragyam, na bahish pragyam, na ubayatah pragyam, na pragyana ghanam, na pragyam, na pragyam, adrishtam, avyavaharyam, agrahyam, alakshanam, achintyam, avyapadeshyam, ekatma pratyayasaram, prapancha upashamam, Shantam Shivam Advaitam Chaturtham Manyante Sa Atma Sa Vigyeyaha. So may you have a complete and accurate definition of yourself. May you know yourself completely, because as we have seen, we know ourselves but incompletely. We're missing some important parts, and because we are not aware of it, it's not as though we are deliberately ignoring it, we just don't know. And that is creating all the issues in our life. So that's the thing. Sa Atma Sa Vigyeya. So what we saw, that we now are beginning to really look at the words of the seventh mantra itself. Na antah pragyam, na bahish pragyam, na ubayatah pragyam, na pragyana ganam, na pragyam, na pragyam. So we'll begin that analysis which we started last week, and now we will take it up. So what we saw was that there is the way the Srishti is, the way our life is, it is made up of differences, bheda, differences. So if you really analyze our experiences of life, what you find is that the fundamental aspect of having experiences is that they keep changing. If there is an experience that just doesn't change, it doesn't happen. That's not what life is about. There's no way you can do that. So every moment there is a change that I perceived in my life. We know that. But here what is pointed out is, let's go further into it. If you look at our makeup of the experiences, then it is characterized by differences moment to moment. And how do we perceive those differences that are our experiences moment to moment? Through thoughts. So they're one and the same thing, really. It's not as though first there is a thought, then comes the differences, or first come the differences, then come the thoughts. They're really one and the same. There are two ways of expressing it. We call it differences, we call it experience. But fundamentally, we should see that each thought allows us to distinguish between things that creates the sense of experience. And so this is true of time. So every moment, there is a new moment. Now. And what was now is split second ago is now past. So there is a thought that cognizes it, doesn't it? So when you are alive, you are awake, you're saying, okay, now the time is passing. New time is coming. So there is a old time thought and a new time thought. So they're both thoughts, but they are distinguishing between one moment of time and another moment of time. Same thing for space. When you're going somewhere, you say, now I'm here, now I'm moving. And so these are all captured by your thoughts. Same thing with things. So there are basically three things that we should really focus on. Kala, and then, so time, space, and things. Kala, Desha, and Vastu. So all three of them attract my thoughts in a way that amount to a set of experiences. Okay? So this is the key thing to understand. You kind of distill the various experiences into the very nature of the experience, sort of. That's how the distillation should go. Now, it should be seen that there is something before a particular experience begins. Right? So even before an experience begins, you are there. You are there before an experience. You are there, of course, during the experience, and even after the experience goes away, you are still there. So this you, which is jnanam, very conscious entity, is not created by an experience. There's a very interesting example given by Swami Akhandananda ji, that if you create a wave in water, you create a wave by splashing your hand in the water, or the power of wind, air, or something falls into it, whatever the reason may be, but there is a creation of a wave in the water, or just, I would say, create a wave. Now, when the wave is created, the question is, does that act of creation of the wave generate the water? No, of course not. Doesn't make any sense. It's not as though each creation of a wave brings its own water. It doesn't happen. So the water is already there, and the only thing that happens in the process of creating a wave is that that water is endowed with a form. That's all. That's all it does. So also with our experiences. Each experience, which means each thought that constitutes an experience, already invokes a conscious entity which is already there. This is really what happens. This is an amazing thing. That jnanam, so this is what is called chidakasha. So chidakasha means an ocean of chit. Chit means consciousness. I am. I am. And I know that I am. So those two things always go together. He's already there. And if it is already there, then all that the process of thinking, all that a change in experience does is to create a form in that jnana. Jnana is already there, just like water. It's already there. There's no change in that. But there is an apparent change that occurs because of an action of some kind. So this is what's happening. So what you see is that your and my life consists of changes in thoughts, and those changes, before those changes, I am already there as jnana. And the changes only invoke me. They don't really create me. And in fact, the changes, which is bheda, they come and disappear in me. And so the only thing that happens is that I am not paying attention to this whole phenomenon. I am just taking myself as the jnanam, as an instrument for knowing things. That's all. But I don't see yet, until it is pointed out to me, that I am the very truth about the various. Just like the water is the very truth of the waves, I am also the truth of various experiences, unchanging. Because it's already there. I'm already there. It's not as though I have to prove myself. As we've said, this is a very interesting, very important thing, that I am the only entity that does not need a pramanam, that doesn't need any proof. So this is an important question. An important way of thinking. This is a way of thinking. Is that how does anything get proven? How do you know? Like, for example, we can say, how is it known that there is time? The time is known because I am already there. How is space known? Space is also known exactly. How is any vastu known? How can you tell? Because I am there. In fact, it is on the basis of this that the very conclusion of one section of Buddhism. So Buddhism has various aspects to it. One of them is called Shunyavada. So Shunyavada means that there is no so what they do is interesting. It appears that their language of mithya meaning there is no reality, is pretty much same too as we Vedantins also say. Mithya is the definition is that one that appears without any reality is called mithya. Like, for example, the wave of a water is mithya because it just appears, but it doesn't have any substance of its own. It borrows everything from the water. It doesn't have an independent definition of substance. No. So the Buddhists also say that the whole world is like that. It is all mithya, mithya, mithya. There is nothing there, nothing there, nothing there. All right. So if we follow the philosophy of Buddhism, the Shunyavadina, so we say, okay, so what's the end point of this analysis? End point is there is nothing. You sure? Yeah, there's nothing. Because we have already proven everything is mithya, isn't it? Everything is mithya. Say, yeah, everything is mithya. And so if everything is mithya, that means there is no substance to it, no, and so it is all shunya. It's all zero. Shunya means zero, non-existent. Then we say, is that what you're saying? Are you sure? Yeah, this is it. Then we say, how do you know this is shunya? Just like we say, how do you know there is time? How do you know there is space? Similarly, even for shunya, if you say this is shunya, that means you know it is shunya. Who is it that knows that this is shunya? This is what Brihadaranyaka Upanishad says, just absolutely incredible mantra. Nahi drashtuhu drishtehe viparilopaha vidyate. Just meditate on this fact. Nahi drashtuhu drishtehe viparilopa vidyate. It means that the consciousness, jnanam of the pramata. Pramata means you and I as human beings. One who interacts, one who knows, one who transacts, one who experiences is called drashtuhu. The conscious entity of this pramata can never be removed. Drashtuhu drishtehe. Drishti means the very essence of knowing, I am, can never be removed. Why is it that it can never be removed? Because it is Sat Swarupa. It is Jnana Swarupa. It is self-evident, self-existing. It doesn't need anything else. In fact, everything depends on it. All the thoughts depend on it. All experiences depend on it. But by itself, it just stays where it is. Nahi drashtuhu drishtehe viparilopaha vidyate. So going back to the Bheda, the Bheda Vichara. So we should do a Bheda Vichara. So Bheda Vichara, just to summarize what we've been talking about, is that at the moment we are leading a life consisting of thoughts, various thoughts. So we can detail that in a minute. Antaf pragyam, bahish pragyam, ubhayataf pragyam, pragyana ghanam. So by saying that means antaf pragyam, bahish pragyam are the various varieties of thoughts in our life. Like, for example, you can say, I'm alive. I'm alive is a thought. I am awake. I'm not sleepy. Not sleeping, and I'm not sleepy. Thought. How do you know? Somebody says, are you awake? Yeah, I'm awake. How do you know you're awake? Silly question. I know I am awake. Stop it. Stop bothering me. Aha, so you know you're awake. So there are two aspects to this. I know. And I know that I have a condition of being awake. So this is the Drikdrishya. So the issue is that I ignore the fact that I know. I don't pay any attention to it. Who is it that I know? I don't even pay any attention to the fact that the I know is fundamentally different from what I know. Because what I know is Bheda. Right? What I know is all these thoughts, Bheda. Bheda means differences, 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 distinctions, distinctions between time and space and all these kinds of, and they're all mixed up. And they all come in different varieties. Doesn't matter. Whatever varieties they come in, these are all Bhedas. But how do you know this is a Bheda? You know it is a Bheda by the fact that I am Abheda. I am a non-difference. You are a non-difference? What if you also know you are different? So, just like, for example, you say, I'm young, I was young, now I'm old. So there is a difference between I am young and I am old. How do you know you were young and you were old? Because I know I was young and now I'm old. So is it the difference in you? Or is it in the difference of the body that you are taking yourself to be? Think about that. You are not changing. And you know what? If you were changing, if the seer itself was changing, you could never have any experiences whatsoever. Because, and this is exactly how we argue against the Vijnanavadis of the Buddhism. Buddhism is, I don't want to get into that, but it is nonsense. But it makes it look like, oh my God, you can meditate and just close your eyes. And people are more attracted towards Buddhism than the very simple aspect of how it is wrong. So, going back to that argument, how do you know that I'm also changing? Because you say I'm also changing. If you were also changing, there must be something that will say, I am changing. That's what we are talking about. Nahi drashtuhu drashte viparilopa vidyate. This is what is called apaurusheya jnanam. This is not worldly knowledge. This is knowledge per se. This is the very essence of worldly knowledge. Because the worldly knowledge means this is this is that, is Bheda. And no Bheda is possible without Abheda. This is what I have to really think about. And this is the Vichara. This is the Atma Vichara. We talked about Atma Vichara. This is the Atma Vichara that I have to pursue. And I don't have the strength to do it because I'm so used to just viewing myself in terms of my experiences, my thoughts. And what happens is that I don't have any occasion to evaluate how is that possible. So, even the day, during the 124-hour day, as we know, this is what we are studying. This is the very essence of Mandukya Upanishad. And my dear, you are different people at different times. Don't you see that? How? This is what is called abhimana. The word abhimana is an important one to understand fully. Abhimana means identification in English. And abhimani is the identifier. And so what happens is that I have three different abhimana. Three different abhimana. I am a Jagrat Avastha Abhimani, waking state Abhimani. And why Abhimana means that there's another Sanskrit word that we will hopefully, this is called Tadatmya. So the very essence of Abhimana means that you take something else to be yourself. You know, the example given when you are watching a movie. So when you're watching a movie, a good movie, a good movie means the one that really grips you is called a good movie. So the movie that grips you is that when you begin to get into it, after a few moments, you get rid of your reality as you were before you started watching the movie, and you adopt an identification with the characters of the movie. So you identify it with, generally this is what happens, that you identify it with the main hero or the heroine and against all these other people that create a problem for the main person. So if something were to threaten the main person, then you feel I am threatened because you feel, oh my gosh. And if there is some happiness in the main person, you also feel happy. This is called identification. This is called abhimana. So at the moment, you are an abhimani called Vishwa. You know, we have done all this in the very beginning of the Mandukya. So we said, you remember there are three abhimanis. One is Vishwa for the Jagrata Avastha. One is Taijasa for the Swapna Avastha. And one is called Pragya in the Sushupti Avastha, on the deep sleep state. All three of them are the names of Abhimana, Abhimani. So what happens is that while you are awake, you feel, I am just this much. This is who I am. This I means I am a, and then in the Jagrata Avastha, you invoke your status in this life. If you are a man, Indian, 54 years old, you feel this is who I am. Okay, so this is all past, and it is exacerbated, confirmed by having a body which is also aging, and it gives you personal experiences, so you feel that's pakka. This is who I am. Are you sure this is who you are? Yeah, this is what I am. What do you mean? What else can it be? Aren't you the same way? What are we discussing it? Okay. If this is the reality about, is this the reality about you? Yeah, this is the reality about me. Wait till you hit the sack at night time. Then what happens? You become a different Abhimani. Abhimana, the old Abhimana is gone. And you adopt a new identity. And you go through a completely different set of experiences. It's the examples typically given in Vedanta is that suppose you are you're very concerned with food and making sure that you are not hungry and you are well fed and you want good food, tasty food, not just nutritious, but it should be. You're all, there are times in your life when you are very involved in thinking about food. And supposing you go to sleep and you actually had a good meal and you even had some snacks before you went to sleep, which we shouldn't have, but you feel so happy you took some chips and so on and so forth before you went to sleep. So you're well fed, that's the point. You start dreaming. And what happens is that your thoughts that I want food, make you feel hungry again. So in the dream state, the fact that you are really well fed in the Jagrata Avastha is gone. You feel hungry. You're begging for food. Hey, have you found a good restaurant? I want to go there, because some of the vasanas from the Jagrata Avastha are still there. So the main point is that you are now a completely different person. And don't say that this was just a dream, that's not real. No. When you're dreaming, then your Jagrata Avastha, as we have seen already, is what we have to really grasp. We refuse to grasp it. So, the reason you are an Abhimani, not reality, is because it is so temporary. This is what we have to see. And the reason it is temporary, the reason it is an Abhimana, in terms of what we started to say, is because it consists of thoughts only. All identifications, all Abhimanas consist of thoughts only. Because how do you know you are awake? You are awaker. Because I have thoughts that I'm awake. I have thoughts. So I have thoughts. And even in the dream state, you have a thought. I am a hungry person. Thoughts. Bheda. When in fact, thoughts are not you. Thoughts are in you. The Bhedas are in the Abheda. The waves are in the water. They are not the reality. But this is such a sophisticated, this is what is called Brahma. So Brahma means you're completely bowled over, confused. And you're so involved in the thinking that I am this, I am that. that not for a moment you realize that I am something, I may be, I may be acting and I may be hungry, I may be doing, I am a karta, I am a bhokta, but that's not me. That is an imposition on me. So the understanding of the abheda, the non-difference me, must be grasped. And it will be grasped. Somebody will have to explain this so well, because at this moment my mind refuses to even acknowledge that fact. But they will, but that's not the truth about myself. So there will be a time through the study and through the instructions and so by the teacher, by the guru, that I am different from my thoughts. So in the analysis of these, interestingly enough, Swami Akhandananda points out that please don't think that this understanding is based on memory. This is an interesting point that all students go through, So let's look into that aspect of it. What do we mean by that all students go through? Because we all have an interesting experience. And I hear that from you, your questions and so on. You sometimes write to me. That how is it that in the classroom and when some acharya is teaching, this seems very clear. But I am not able to retain it. Not able to retain it, and I forget it. So the attempt is to memorize it. I need to improve my memory, because even though I know this to be the truth, so you just follow this language carefully. I know this to be the truth, but I forget it. This is the common complaint of students. So Swami Akhandananda ji analyzes this very well. He says, wait. Let us examine the nature of memory, what is called smriti. Smriti means memory. And vismriti means forgetfulness, forgetting. Non-memory that erases itself is called vismriti. And smriti means memory. Okay? If that's the case, then let's look at it. What is the nature of smriti, memory? What is the nature of it? So the nature is that you have an experience of something, and then that experience of something disappears. Right? And the disappearance of the experience of something is called Vismriti, forgetfulness. So the nature of Smriti is, if one of two things, either you had the experience of something and then that experience disappears, or you can never have a memory that you have never experienced. Right? Memory means that you must have experienced something and it is no longer available now. This is Smriti and Vismriti. But Smriti doesn't mean something that you never experienced. You cannot memorize it. Right? So these are the possibilities. So now, let's apply this analysis to the complaint of the students that I used to know this very well, but now I'm forgetting it. So I need to memorize the fact that I am Atma, I am Atma, I am Atma. Because it was very clear to me that I am Atma at some point in time. Reasonably clear. But now even that clarity goes and I don't feel that I am the Atma. I'm a samsari, I'm an experiencer, I'm an experiencer. So what is the truth about this? And this is what Swami Akhandananda said so beautifully. Swami Akhandananda says, look, it is very possible that if you had an experience of something, means something other than you, that can be forgotten. You know why? Because that thing may not be there anymore. It was pratyak in technical terms. Now go back to the technical words used in Sanskritam. Pratyaksha. So at one time there was pratyaksha, means right in front of you. Now it has become paroksha. And because it has become paroksha, means it has gone, you cannot remember it anymore. At least you used to have some memory of it for a while, but that fades. And you now don't have the memory of that thing, right? Okay. Yourself, your own self is not different from you. It can never be away from you. Can you ever be away from yourself? It doesn't make any sense. Even the language doesn't make any sense. I can never be away from myself. Right? So follow this argument. So if I can never be away from myself, is it possible that I will forget myself? Like you can forget something else. Can you ever forget yourself? No, not possible. Because the nature of yourself is that you're always you. So you can never become paroksha. You see? Atma is aparoksha, sakshat aparoksha. It is never be paroksha. So that means that your conclusion that you are forgetting yourself is not valid. It cannot be valid. It cannot be valid. Why can it be valid? Because it can never become paroksha. Like something else can become paroksha. Okay, I understand that. So, but then why do I have the feeling that I'm forgetting myself? So, this is now clear. You never had the experience of yourself. So really speaking, this is why sometimes these gurus and acharyas, they are so polite that they don't give you the stark truth. But the essence of this whole thing is, if you feel that you are forgetting, you still don't know yourself as you should. You've got a vague idea, I am the Atma, and and you have not sorted out everything so clearly. You don't know yourself. Because if you knew yourself, and it is you that can never get away from you, you will never forget it. It's a beautiful, beautiful vichara, beautiful analysis. Vasamya Kandananda. Okay, so this is one. Then, going back to the abhimana, and how the abhimana needs to be understood, that really my status of looking at myself as a person is not valid. I have to understand the invalidity of it, and can only be done by pointing out, as the Mandukya does, that you are playing a role. You're playing a role, and you are something other than the role. You are the Turiya. You're not Vishwa. And so here in this case, we now recall, because the seventh mantra basically summarizes the analysis of all the previous mantras. And so those have to be incorporated and kept in mind and analyzed together. So how? So let's just look at Bahishpragya. Bahishpragya means that pragya, that worldly knowledge, which is based on your ability to be awake. So your ability to be awake means what? It means the very intricate part of being awake is you have some sense organs of action, and a mind that supports it. You're looking at things as this is a table, this is a wall, this is a carpet, this is a etc. So your pragya, your bahish pragya is very involved with things that you are seeing, right? So this is the bahish pragya. So now in this status of the abhimana of the Vishwa, of the Jagrata Avastha, there's some steps you can take to analyze where you are going wrong. Okay, you can already start to take that. And those steps we have already detailed in the first few mantras. So, Prathama Pada, the first step is, so you have to recall that at this point in time. The first step is, you are not just a Vishwa. You are in fact Virat. How can I not be Vishwa? And how can I be Virat? Virat means the entire world, the Brahmanda. I'm just a small person, just looking at what. How can I be Virat? So what is pointed out there is, in the way of how we have to progress our analysis, is that no. What happens is, if you just look at yourself, you don't even have to close your eyes, but just look at what is happening. You find you are observing an entire creation. You're observing an entire creation. In that creation, you are observing a body, your own body. But you're observing your own body as part of the creation, are you not? Are you only, unless you are just, you're focusing on your own skin and so on and so forth, you're not looking at anything else, that's different. But are you not just looking at your body as part of the whole creation? Yes, that's true. I'm looking at the whole creation. You're observing, you're aware of the whole creation. Means sitting from where you are. It's not as though you are looking at the sun and the stars and Mars and Jupiter, or I'm not talking about that. Excuse me. But you have a view of the whole creation, are you not? Yes, that's true. I am observing the whole creation. And you are not just this body. Am I not just this body? What does it mean? Just look at yourself. You are an observer of a phenomena that includes your body and includes the whole creation. Are you not observing it? And isn't that whole creation dependent on your viewing it? Are you not an independent viewer of the entire experience of the creation? Can you deny that? Well, I'm not sure. Well, just close your eyes. The experience disappears. You don't disappear. You, the observer, are still there. So therefore we mean, when we say that the Vishwa is a Deha Abhimani, because you are continuously viewing the whole set of experiences from the standpoint that you have associated with this body. That's what is called Vishwa. But is that a fact? Are you not observing the whole thing? You're also observing this body, but you're also observing the whole thing, and this body is part of the whole thing. Are you not? Can you deny that? So the first step towards understanding. So this is a step-by-step thing. Eventually you should see that I am not even the person that identifies with the whole creation. You're identifying with the whole creation. But first you should see that you are identifying with only one body. At least grow out of that and see that you are identifying with the whole creation. And once you see that you are identifying with the whole creation, you will see that that identification of the whole creation is also temporary. It is also partial. It is not complete. Because now you will, when you lie down and dream, you'll identify with a different creation. So even the creation itself, as it appears to you, itself is your imagination. Don't you see that? So this is the steps, these are the steps that you have to go through. And here in this manner, what is said in the Shastra, the advice given in the Shastra is that all of the problems that you encounter in your life is because of Deha Abhimana. This is purely a conclusion on your part. There's no reality to it. The conclusion on your part is, I am only this much. This is me and this is mine. This is the cause of the problems in life. It is because you don't identify with the entire creation. You're only identifying with a single individual body-mind complex. And that has its own relationships. So then what happens is that supposing there is a person And that person happens to be your son. Now you don't look upon that person as a person, you look upon him as your son. And that creates its own issues. If something should happen to it, you're highly affected. This is my son. If there is some mishap, somebody hit a car where your son was traveling, and they had 3 other people in the car, they are all equally somewhat hurt. But you're not really thinking about anybody else, you're only thinking about your son. I hope he's okay. So the first thing, we talk about you should, first step is to go from Vishwa to Virat. You know what that means? It means is either way, one or the other. It doesn't matter how you do this. Either you should begin to look at yourself and your own family in a more distant manner. This is one possibility, one recommendation. Or you should look upon others as really none other than what you are identifying with. But we refuse to look at this distinction, and I just make sure that my family should be okay. I should be okay. I don't care about anybody else. So one step that one can take is to understand. You see, this is what Swami Vivekananda says. Swami Vivekananda says that you will gain a sense of happiness that you want only when you begin to look at the world as Ishvara looks at the world. Ishvara doesn't say, this is my son. All people are their sons and daughters. And it doesn't mean that you are immediately just forget about everything else, but at least take some steps in that direction. If you wanted to remove the problems that you have. So this is a good advice, that we have a false identification. And so there will come a point where not only will I become a little bit free of identification with me and my own family, but so the next point is there's a lot of bad things going on in the whole world. And those bad things in the whole world are also something that you should not identify with. There's Ishvara's creation, let it go. You're different from it. And Swami Vivekananda says this so beautifully, that he says, he said that he actually gave a very interesting example. He says there was a a very scholarly person in Varanasi that he knew, who was both a knower of Vedas, teacher of Vedas, knower of Sanskrit and so on, but also one who was personally trying to see how that applies to me and on the way to becoming a Mahatma. He was not quite a Mahatma yet. That's what all these people are, even in Swami Akhandananda. He says, in my life, I also progressed slowly. It's not as though I understood the whole thing in one, but I have to slowly talk about how does it apply to me? It's the truth, seeing the truth about myself. So this is what he was saying. So anyway, he says there was this guy who he knew, and by that time, Swami Akhandananda had really acquired the vision very clearly. He had become a Mahatma. But this other fellow was on his way, but not quite there yet. Anyway, he said that one time this person approached him and said that he was very proud of the technical analysis in Vedanta, talking about Buddhism, about Sankhya, about Vishishtadvaita, all of that he was an expert. It's called Shrotriya. Okay? And he would sometimes be engaged in some debates where he would win. Not sometimes, he would always win. So, one time, he lost a debate to someone. And he was very bothered by it. Very bothered by it. And came to Swamiji and said, Swamiji, I thought that I knew everything, but this person really defeated me in the argument, and I don't like it. I'm really bothered. So Swamiji says, listen, suppose you have a dream, and in that dream somebody defeats you. Isn't that person also you? Because you are in the dream a person that got defeated, and you are also the person who defeats you. Are you not both of them? So he says, that's true. He says, that's exactly what is happening. If somebody defeats you, it is really your own creation. And everything is within your own creation. Even the person that creates a problem for you is also just nothing but you alone. He says he's finally understood that. And he did pranams to Swamiji and said, Swamiji, you made me understand something that I had a hard time seeing that before. And he says, so this is exactly how we have to proceed. It's not a magic. The reason that I'm not able to become free is because I'm so engaged in trivial things that I cannot see the truth about the fact that I am abheda. I have nothing to do with antah pragya, bahish pragya, ubhayata pragya. So this is what this mantra is teaching, that please see the reality of things, that thoughts are not the reality, but the person in which the thoughts occur is the reality. So we'll proceed along this in the next class. Om Asatoma Satkamaya Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. This is exactly how we have to proceed. So Arvid's question, in water and wave example for analogy of thought and conscious, does conscious refers to chit? Yes, of course. So chit means you. It means so sat and chit are both satyam jnanam, refers to the person, and that one should see that I am is the sat, and that I know that I am. Not only I know that I am, I just know, isn't it? Because over and beyond anything is I know. This is the knowledge. I know. And it is not my property, that is my nature. I know. I know. Even the thought, this is my property, I know. Anyway, let's not go into the details. But yeah, absolutely. The conscious refers to the chit. And in Swami Akhandananda's vocabulary, this is what is called jnanam, pure knowledge. Not all worldly knowledge is out of this jnanam. And so he makes this very interesting distinction between Paurusheya Jnanam and Apaurusheya Jnanam. So Paurusheya means Purishajanya, which is born out of human beings. So all the worldly knowledge is based out of human beings. I know medicine, I know this book, I know that, etc. is worldly knowledge. But the worldly knowledge is nothing but an expression of the Apaurusheya Jnanam, which is Jnanam, which is not born out of the human beings, which is the very content of the human beings, which is Paramatma, which is Ishvara. That is the Chit. That is the Jnanam. All right. Good to see you. We'll see you next week. Hari Om.